On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, another major college basketball coaching job in the city of Chicago has opened up. Just like the Chicago State Cougars job that, as a reminder, the school and I both mutually agreed to not go further with hiring me to be Chicago State's head coach. Chicago State was a job that I was very close to getting once upon a time. And now there might be a new dream on the horizon because the DePaul Blue Demons today, right before we sat down to record, fired Tony Stubblefield. It is a program that has been dormant for a very long time. It is a program that has a very ancient at this point, but still relatively good history in a great basketball city, great arena that hosted the Barstool Invitational this year. There's really no reason DePaul should be this bad, and yet they have been for most of my life, and they just fired another coach. I don't even know how many coaches this has been. I have no idea what the problem is. All I know is that I'm willing to fix it, and if anybody at DePaul is listening or watching and needs me to step in and take control and right the ship, I'm happy to do it. So have your people call my people. We'll set it up, and I will get DePaul back on track. I can certainly promise you this. In year one, if I do not do better than 3-15, you can fire me on the spot. We will do better than 3-15. We will win more than 3 games in year one. That is the Titus guarantee. And if we don't, just fire me. It's as simple as that. Kai McKeon from the 3-Man Weave is here today. He's a Chicago guy. Lives right around the corner from the office, to be completely honest with you. Walked over and had a great conversation with him for about an hour on college basketball, all sorts of stuff. We got into, we talked about the DePaul job at the top, but then talking about some of these other coaches that are thinking about maybe stepping down, maybe retiring. Talked about that a little bit. Teams we like, teams we don't. It's been a fun season so far, and it is wide open, as you know. Those of you that watch the sport, those of you that have been watching this show or paying attention, it's a wide open season. And there are a lot of chatter, a lot of noise about all these teams at the top. And I'm not here to say that Kai and I have all the answers, but it was fun to just kind of hash it out with somebody and talk about how good is Auburn really. This Houston team, all the analytics say that they're by far the best team in the country. Is that true? So we talked about that, and Gonzaga's NCAA tournament quest, and Michigan State trying to right the ship, all sorts of stuff. Just a fun conversation that lasted about an hour, really. Kai's great. I love the 3-Man Weave guys so much. Love their content. Can't say enough great things about them. And I love anytime any of them are in the studio. And we were lucky enough to have one of them with us today, Kai McKeon. So that is on the docket today. Please enjoy my conversation with Kai. All right, Kai McKeon is here. 3-Man Weave. First of all, first stop here at the new office. You're
Yes.
a local Chicago guy, so good to have. I like having people in the studio. I apologize. I already did off air. I'm going to do it on air for having to sit in Brandon Walker's half of the room. It is very messy. If it smells like an independent wrestling show or
It's very broken in.
someone,
It's been used.
It's been used. Yeah. That's the Brandon Walker experience. I did not plan on talking about this. I did not think we would lead with this, but we are in Chicago, and like an hour before we sat down to do this, Tony Stubblefield was fired.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about DePaul basketball, because DePaul basketball for most of my life has been a joke, except when Quentin Richardson was there for like a half second, and that was fun. I'm going to defer to you because you've lived in this city longer than I have. Why?
Yes.
So find the answers that nobody else can find. Why is this program so bad? Is there a path forward? Like the idea that they fire Stubblefield, so like, let's just go hire the next coach and he'll fix everything, I'm sure. But like, how long have we been saying this about DePaul? What is?
It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It's like you see other private schools in the Big East, like Xavier and Butler, having success, and DePaul in a huge city like Chicago, you would think with a good program, actually, history, right? Stephen Howard, Mark Aguirre teams, really good. They just can't get the ball rolling. I don't know if it's lack of care. Like you've been to those games, there's nobody there.
Yeah,
they have like 400 people go to the games. I don't know if it's lack of money, NIL money, at least for basketball.
Yeah,
I don't know what other sports they have, but it's not coming through for basketball. Or if it's just bad hiring. They hired Laid Out twice. That kind of tells you all you need to know, right?
Because it's not just that they're bad. It's like there are a lot of bad programs in the country, as it turns out.
That's true.
they're just not even close to competitive. That's what's startling
especially
to me.
this year. It's horrible.
It'd be one thing if they were, I don't know, hovering around 500 every so often, but they're 3-15 this year, and it is disgusting. Yeah, I don't know what the path forward is, and I guess I just always assumed, and it's become like a little bit of a trope with the Illinois schools. It's like, why don't you just get the Illinois kids, or why don't you just get the Chicago kids? That's always the thing with the Illini is like, you know how to get Illini basketball back? Get Anthony Davis and get get Derrick Rose, and like if you would have got those guys,
it's obvious, right?
Why didn't Dwayne Wade go to Illinois? Like that would have been fine. Yeah. But then that's kind of what I do think about DePaul is like you don't have to get the Anthony Davises and Derrick Roses, but like there's so many good high school players in Chicago. You would think surely that if you got like the 100th best player in Chicago every year, you would still have
it only takes
a competitive team.
Yeah.
But they like never seem to put it together.
Terrence Shannon was in their backyard. He went to Lincoln Park High School.
That's right.
I think they almost got him. They've almost gotten like 6 or 7 guys, and then at the last moment they'll go somewhere else, or they'll commit and decommit, and that's the story of DePaul.
I wonder if it's guys wanting out of Chicago or something. Maybe it's like the guys are from Chicago, but it's like that's actually would not be great if I stayed here for the next 3 years or 2 years or whatever.
I don't know if it matters, but like
and I want to go do something
school.
Else.
Like, there's no campus feel. Like when you're at Ohio State, big man on campus. Parties, college school. Like DePaul's not really that. It's a big city, right? It's a bit different, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's similar to St. John's, I suppose, but St. John's got their Rick Pitino. DePaul just needs to hire Rick Pitino. I think that's the solution.
It'd be a great hire.
So I also did not particularly. I don't necessarily want to spend a ton of time on this, but I feel like the ebbs and flows of this college basketball season have led us here. We're at a crisis with coaches being on the floor. And I guess my question to you would be like, do you feel like this is a new thing, or do you feel like we're just putting more of a spotlight on it now? Because for the second Dayton basketball game in a row that I was watching, very bizarre thing. 2 times in 1 week, the Dayton Flyers have had to deal with the opposing coach. Archie Miller was probably the most egregious we've seen this year. Like literally makes contact with the player. But like obviously the Shaka clip was going semi-viral with college basketball, and Travis Ford's on the court. Kim Mulkey on the women's side. I mean, she's made a whole career out of like wearing stupid shit and wandering out on the and wandering out on the court. Do you feel like this is a new thing, or do you feel like we're just like talking about it more and seeing it and putting a bigger spotlight on it?
I think we're talking about it a little bit more, but Dayton's been so good that you just need 6 guys out there to defend.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think they are like top 5 in Bart Torvik. You can cycle through like since this date, this team is this good. Dayton's top 5. Yeah. Do you remember? I don't know what show it was. It might have been Hanging with Mr. Cooper. This might be a really, really deep reference, but Shaq was coaching the team, and Shaq's foot was over the line, and they called 6 guys on the floor, and his team forfeited. If they started doing that, it'd be bigger ramifications, right, for these coaches. But it might have been Smart Guy. I gotta think about that one.
That's what I've been saying though. Is that I think a lot of people think this is just like an easy fix. It just I have the solution. Just simply don't let coaches on the floor, which is a great idea. When you see the Archie Miller clip, you're like, that would fix it. Just like if he does that, give him a technical foul. The problem is that every coach is on the floor at all times. Yeah. It's just it's just a sliding scale of how egregious it is. I feel like this goes on more than, but it is weird. I don't know why, because it's like become a talking point, and yet we both know that this week there's going to be another instance.
Who's the calmest coach in the country? Who never gets up, just sits there and twiddles his thumbs or bides his time and.
Yeah, that's a great question.
None's coming to mind right now. But
I guess if you are a calm coach, you're probably not a good coach, right?
Yeah.
Like who are the?
Yeah. You sit back and you plan. You scheme.
I want to say Tony Bennett, but like
I think so. He's up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Never gotten a technical.
Yeah. Maybe it's Tony.
Yeah.
What's going on with Virginia?
They're okay. I think I'm the only Virginia believer left in the country. It feels like it.
I was banging the drum forever for him for the last decade. I've just kind of given up.
Yeah, their offense sucks. They can't get anything going on that end. Their defense is not as good as they are in the past because they're not as athletic. They don't have 5 NBA guys on their team anymore.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
That definitely hurts. So ACC in general,
they suck. Yeah,
Carolina's the team. Like where do we go from there?
Yeah, Duke's good. North Carolina's good. I thought Clemson was good. I'm not so sure they're good anymore. Miami's not good.
Miami's not good.
That sucks.
Wake is good.
Wake's good. I love Wake.
Efton
Reed eligible. He's turned them around a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this North Carolina team. I like them. I like them. I forget what game I was. Maybe it was like the Kentucky game that they lost, and I was still like, it just felt like a high level basketball game where I walked away kind of in love with both teams. We've seen enough. We believe in North Carolina.
Yeah, I just still don't think Hubert Davis is a great coach. Maybe I'm a hater. I could be a hater.
No, be a hater. It's fine. This is the show to be a hater.
Well,
on,
I was at PK 85, so a couple years ago in Portland, and North Carolina played Iowa State. And in the press conference, Hubert said they lost Iowa State and said, "Oh yeah, we didn't know they would play zone."
That's right.
Like, TJ Altenberger, man, is 1-3-1 guy.
Yeah,
he always plays zone. I've told this story a lot, but it's true. Like I heard that from the head coach of North Carolina. It's like, okay, you're just not a good coach. And then the tournament happened, or the season happened after the tournament. It just kind of convinced me.
It's just one of those things that once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. And it's
exactly. It's cognitive bias, I guess, something about it.
One of the other things I've been on, and I think you might agree with me, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Gonzaga, I don't necessarily think they're going to miss the tournament. But a few weeks ago, it dawned on me when I was like looking at their resume, because I would watch Gonzaga play. They'd play a good team. They would play decently well, and they would lose by 6 or 7, whatever. And then I remember I just had a moment where I was like, they've lost every one of these games. Every time they play a good team, they lose.
I know, the resume kind of sucks.
The resume sucks.
Yeah, scary.
Do you really think, like I do, that there is a world where Gonzaga does not make the tournament this year?
There is, unfortunately, and it sucks. I like Mark Few, I like the program. I think they're really good. Like in terms of context of the entire country, they're just not Gonzaga good this year, right?
Yeah.
They're top 30, top 25 maybe, but the injuries hurt, right? They lost. Steele Venters, all-time name, was supposed to be really good for them this year as a transfer. He's missed the entire year. And their team's just not built the same. Like, speaking of NBA guys, I don't know if there are any on this Gonzaga team, at least yet, right? St. Mary's is really good. San Francisco's good. So there's no, like, guarantee they even get the auto bid. Which
they're good. They're like the worst kind of good, those two programs, because they're good where they can beat Gonzaga, but they're not good where if Gonzaga beats them, that's not necessarily an awesome win, but they could be, that's the worst kind of good. It's not like oh well, at least Gonzaga has a couple opportunities left in conference play where they can beef up their resume, because like it's not like the people that doubt Gonzaga or the people on the committee that are like, we don't think Gonzaga's that good. If they beat St. Mary's by 10, they're going to be like, oh, never mind, I take it all back. Gonzaga is actually fucking awesome. But they could beat Gonzaga. I don't know. It's just Gonzaga is I agree. I don't think they're all that great. I don't think they're a bad basketball team, but it's unfortunate that they're in a position where they just don't have – they're not going to have a great resume, and that Kentucky game is the one that just seems like –
maybe they get the benefit of the doubt from the committee because they are Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They get the the CFP treatment this year.
Yeah.
They're Alabama this season. They get in over a team that probably deserves it more. Because analytics-wise, putting on my nerd glasses a bit, they should be a tournament team. They're that good.
Right.
Just, do they have the schedule to do it right with the WCC?
I still haven't figured out how much analytics factors into the committee, because they say they acknowledge it and they know what it is, but then they also use the net, which is not –
they don't use it, but they
use it, but they don't.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you talk to the guys that like make up the committee, they're like, yeah, I mean, we're all aware of the Ken Poms and the Bartorviks and we're all aware of it. So we're like, how much does that factor in? They're like, nah, not really. You kind of have to look at wins and losses and But how could you not
black box formula? How
could you not factor it in though? Like if you're in the committee room and you're trying to figure out who the best teams are, and you're all throwing out your opinions, and and you all like, no, I don't know. I'm on Ken Palm right now, and Bama's one of those teams. It's like they're 12-6. They not a great record. Bama's not in jeopardy as of right now of missing the tournament, but like they're number 8 on Ken Palm. Mm-hmm. That seems insane to have them as like I guess if you're just going based off of Ken Palm, they'd be a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. But if you're in the committee room and you're like, yeah, I don't really think Bama's that good, but you're staring you right in the face these numbers that say Alabama's number 8. I don't know how that doesn't affect your perception of teams. It would
absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and there's supposed to be inside baseball a bit here, but there's resume metrics and then predictive metrics. Resume gets you in the tournament. predictive seeds you, is what the committee says, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the committee doesn't watch the season for the entire year, so they're looking at these teams on paper, and they're not really, you know, I guess that's probably the best way to do it. Eye test can be deceiving. You watch one game and think a team's awesome, vice versa. But that's how it's supposed to work, and then you get guys being defensive about net questions because they can't explain it either. Right? The guys that in the NCAA can't explain it. But I don't know. Is it a better tool than anything out there? It might be. I don't know.
I love it because it's the most inexact science trying to field the because like all the bracketologists can name like every single team that's going to make it up till like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
it's a pretty.
Have you seen
it's not
Bracket
that
Matrix? Have you seen that site bracketmatrix.com? It's awesome.
Yeah, and they're all like. If you're trying to be a bracketologist, it basically comes down to like 2 or 3 teams every year, and that's for it's like there's like 2 or 3 spots, and there's 5 or 6 teams that could get those 2 or 3 spots, and that's it, and that's all those guys are really doing. So, and the reason they can get so close is because the science of doing it is so exact, and yet if you ask anybody to explain the science of how you come up with where these teams will be seeded and all that, it does fall apart because there's so much data and so many things you could look at. It's hilarious. While we're on the topic of analytics, please. Houston, a team that I believe in. So I very much believe in them, Kai. But I need you, a self-professed nerd, to explain why I don't. Are they really like miles better than everybody? Like every single advanced metric seems to think they are?
They are, yeah. There's like a gap.
There's a massive gap.
Right? Yeah, and then 2 and 6 is like the same exact gap on KenPom and Bartorvik and all of these sites, right? I think they're that good. They're just the margin of victory that they have over these teams is, and I've seen people like kind of like poo-poo this, like, oh, big deal, you beat this team by 20. It matters if you beat teams by 20 consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've played basketball, you're like, yeah, this team's winning by a lot all the time.
Yeah.
They're super good. Losing on the road to TCU and to who else they lose to?
Iowa State.
Yeah. That's not a bad thing. By 1 point, both games, you know, those tough places to win. I think they're that good. Will they make the Elite Eight again and lose? Probably. They get hurt every year, unfortunately.
So Houston, you believe Houston's the best team in the country?
I think Arizona's number 1 still for me personally.
Okay.
Just again, eye test. I mean, that team's. They remind me of UConn last year. Is basically how I put it.
Yeah. I want to agree with you. It's so hard to.
But they've lost 3 games in the Pac-12, right? So it's like
I know
2
that's
games,
what's crazy.
Whatever it is.
It's crazy because like I almost just said the words they can't win away from home, but. They won at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
It's not bad. It's not a bad place to
like, like, I don't know what's going on, but they can't. I mean, they lose to Purdue, which wasn't a true road game, but it was in Indy. Purdue's obviously very good.
But like UConn was the best team in the country last year, and they were a 4 seed. And I think everyone agreed they were the best team in the country going into the tournament, but still a 4 because of their Big East play. I think we're going to kind of see that with Arizona.
I think Arizona. I want to love.
Caleb Love.
It's like the whole program really is in Caleb, like the idea that they kick Kirk Creasy to the curb and they're like get that erratic point guard out of here who
Caleb, come here.
and Caleb, you're gonna be the guy that we're going to find the calmness with. I just like I would love Arizona in a best of 7 if it was the NBA playoffs.
Right. Would you like that better?
Arizona.
March Madness was a best of 7. The good team would always win, but imagine the series like on campuses. Be sweet. Like back
I'm trying to think of how.
Maybe just the title.
You find the middle, like the title game is like a best of you get to
sick.
You get the final 2 teams. Yeah. We get to the final 2, and the national championship is a best of 7 or something. I don't know. It's so hard because that's what I've made this point a million times on my show, but the NBA is trying to capture what college basketball has, and it feels like college basketball in a lot of ways tries to capture what the NBA has. Meanwhile,
let's keep them separate.
The people that love college basketball don't necessarily hate the NBA, but if you ask like the average college basketball, what do you love about college basketball? I feel like a lot of people would answer what they hate about the NBA first. You'd be like, what do you love about college basketball? Right? And you're like, I'll tell you what I love. The players don't sit out like they do in the NBA. You don't have the divas, the players, they would just mention like NBA stuff.
Yeah.
So it cracks me up when you ask people like, what would you fix about college basketball? And the solutions are always NBA. Meanwhile, Adam Silver's like, we need single elimination tournaments.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that
Which
be
worked
cool?
out pretty well for them. I'm surprised. I know it's not an NBA show. It's Mark Titus show, but the NBA midseason tournament worked out great.
It did. It was awesome.
Like,
and the play-in for the playoffs is awesome too. I would love a best of 7 if there's like a way to guarantee there's not a sweep. That's the problem. Is like if you get like a UConn San Diego State thing last year where UConn goes up 3-0 and then we all have to watch game 4.
Yeah,
and we're just like, right. Oh my god, like what are we doing with the 4th game?
I wish it was FAU last year. I was rooting hard for the Owls.
Where are you at with FAU this year?
I'm in on them. I wish they'd stop dicking around. Like they've played with fire like 3 or 4 games in the American. I think they're safe, but they might get a 7-6 seed, and
it's such a dangerous thing to just assume that you can flip the switch.
It's defense. I think they just like don't care as much, or maybe they're just like, we know we're really good.
Well, I mean, they won the Barstool Invitational, and I think once you win something as prestigious as that, you're kind of just like, why
trophy?
Are we?
Was the trophy good? I didn't see the trophy.
Was the trophy good, TJ?
I think it was like a clear crystal thing that they
expensive.
It wasn't much of a trophy as it was like
the old college football crystal football.
Not as exciting as that, but same vibe. Not as exciting.
I'm trying to find it now. Barstool Invitational basketball trophy.
I want to say it was like a clear crystal, like circular thing that had like etched on it. Barstool Invitational.
Dude, the first thing the
like a dinner plate.
I searched Barstool Invitational basketball trophy, and the very first result I got is Nick holding up the Yak basketball Pizza Hut trophy.
That's gotta be it.
Hey, who was the Hut? By the way,
the Hut was
who the hell is that guy?
What's that guy's name? He was the guy
Boston
who
I assume he played.
He played at BC.
You'll remember him.
Okay.
He was the guy who was at the press conference. They asked, "What are you going to miss about college?"
Yes.
And he paused for like a full minute, and then just goes, "Probably just the meals,
yeah,
the
that's
meals
right.
or whatever."
Pizza with the boys, something like that. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. Pizza Hut, yeah. Man, the crowd hated him. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he's very good.
I mean, he's 7-footer, right?
Yeah,
he can move.
That was the problem. He was too good. What a
mid-30s.
Dennis Clifford.
Dennis Clifford.
Wow,
what a dick he was. I can't find the trophy.
I don't know what you were doing out there, by the way. Like you just not seeing the ball well? Yeah,
with the drunk goggles on.
Yeah, just you.
That was a terrible idea.
It looked like you were focusing on just not getting hurt, maybe.
Yeah,
just staying upright.
I was so nauseous after that. That was such a bad idea. I will never do that again. Who else do I want to talk to you about? Auburn. Auburn is a team that I'm cautious on because, like you said about Houston, they're blowing everybody out.
They are.
I think the one thing I'm waiting with Auburn, and we'll certainly get this because the SEC is very good, and it's not like they can just – and the same with Houston. Like, we're going to find out eventually how good Houston really is because when you play a whole – Big 12 schedule, like you can't if you come out of that unscathed or not even unscathed but just looking pretty good, you are very good. Same thing with Auburn, but right now as it stands today on January 22nd, Auburn is yet to play like the elite teams, if such a thing exists in this season of college basketball. They're beating the hell out of everybody. I don't mean to say they're playing a cupcake schedule, but they've beaten a lot of like mid-tier
solid teams,
like tournament teams, like 10
maybe
seeds.
Not. Yeah.
Or maybe not, like bubble-ish teams. And they haven't played like a North Carolina or a UConn or a Purdue or an Arizona. And that's kind of, and we'll get that. They'll play Tennessee. They'll play Kentucky. We'll get all that. But like right now, that's what I'm kind of waiting on. So where do you think when that time comes, they'll answer the bell? Do you see them as like a team that'll fall back a little bit? Like, are you buying the Auburn?
Yeah, and they haven't done it on the road a lot either. I think they've played maybe 3 road games, true road games. One was Appalachian State, which I guess kudos to Bruce Pearl for scheduling that game, but it's a tough place to play. I thought they were going to crumble when they went to Arkansas.
Yeah,
that team's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there with Muss, and I guess the guys he brought in was a horrible combination. But Auburn, they're really good. Janai Broom is like an All-American right now, and they hit on their freshman point guard, and I think that's the ultimate hit or miss guy. It's like freshman point guard coming in. I know he's a 5-star, doesn't always work out. I think he's even a reclass, Aiden Holloway.
Yeah,
and he's been fantastic. So it's just a really complete team.
He's a kid from
I don't know where he's from. I'm bad at that actually. Where guys are from?
Yeah, he's from I knew him from Yeah, I don't follow recruiting or high school basketball really,
yeah,
but then like I
about it.
also say that, and then I know everything about like just random ass recruits, and I don't know how it happens, but yeah, I think Auburn is at a certain point when you've beaten everybody by 20, like they're 16-2 now, and every single game they've won by double digits. Appalachian State, like you said, is not a bad basketball team, and Baylor opening the season, that feels like a lifetime ago when they played that game.
Right. Teams changed a lot. Yeah.
It's just big one against Bama coming up on Wednesday, I should say.
I'm not sure who the best team is in the SEC though.
Yeah, I think
Kentucky looks great right now.
Kentucky looks so good. Big Z,
Ivicevic guy.
Yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
dude, what a debut for him. He played
13 and 5.
16 minutes. He had like 13 points, 5 boards, hits 3 threes,
3 steals, 3 blocks. Yeah,
3 blocks. He got a flagrant foul called on him and a technical foul for hanging on the rim.
Oh.
I was like, what a in 16 minutes he just packed in. I mean, that was my entire career. He just in 16 minutes did my entire.
Yeah,
he did better than I was. Like, God damn, dude, he did everything. He was incredible. I love Kentucky. I'm worried about their defense.
Oh yeah, Georgia put up 96.
Yeah,
that's
and
tough.
I'm worried. They do seem really excited at the thought of just like running up and down and trying to score as much as they can, which is fun and intoxicating and makes them fun. And like as I'm watching it, I'm like, I freaking love this team. But then I realize that doesn't always equate to like winning an NCAA championship, but it does equate to being a lot of fun, and I'm having fun watching them.
Yeah. They lost the last 8 minutes against Georgia, 32-9. I know they were up by 30, so I don't know if it was part of it or they took their foot off the gas, but like that type of thing just can't happen, right?
Yeah.
In the tournament against a real team.
Yeah.
No offense to Georgia, but
do we trust Tennessee's offense? Does Dalton Knecht do enough
that
for
guy's
you?
Awesome. How good is he? Holy shit.
He might be my favorite player in the country.
It's just like jaw dropping.
I said on the last show I did that he's the number 1 guy in the country. He has taken over like that Morrison or Jimmer or Reddick or name your guy who goes off, the Kimba, whoever's just getting hot. He is the number 1 guy in the country that's like, text your buddy to turn on the game because Dalton Knecht has 21 at halftime or something.
So good. His mid-range game, I'm a mid-range like fiend.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Just like it's going in. It's going in every single time. I think that's the difference between this year's Tennessee team, Captain Obvious, but they're playing a lot faster this season. Yeah. And he's the reason why, and Ziegler's getting back to his full strength after that injury. So they're just fast. They're better this year. They don't go on as many droughts as they used to.
I've had a lot of conversations with people around here about teams I like that are not necessarily under the radar, but just like, who are teams you like that aren't the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, right.
UConn or Purdue, basically.
Yeah.
And I keep saying Tennessee, which I know is not like a dark horse pick because they are ranked very high. And
but Rick Barnes in the tournament at
exactly.
Yeah,
that's always the response I get, and and then I think about it more. I think their offense is good enough now. I think the biggest issue is their offense, and I think Dalton Knecht is that dude. But then the problem is relying so heavily on one guy. If he's not good, what happens next? But then he will be good because he is good.
He's awesome. The stats have been like the 30-point games, 35 in a row, 2 games in a row. First guy since Allen Houston at Tennessee.
Crazy.
It's like, all right, this guy's in some pretty elite company already now. 6'6", dunks it, shoots it. He's awesome.
Yeah, I think the SEC is going to be the most fun to watch unfold because I have no idea.
Except Mizzou, they blow.
Yeah, you're tired. What happened?
We got horrible transfers. Horrible.
Yeah.
We're paying. I don't know if this is common knowledge. We're paying John Tanji like a lot of money. I guess I won't say the exact amount, but he's now out for the year. Played like 5 minutes this year, which is like the second year in a row we've done this with Isaiah Mosley last season. NIL is crazy that you can just like burn that on a guy and then not work out. It's like, man, we just kind of screwed ourselves the whole year.
Yeah, that's what I still don't fully understand. I don't think it's, I mean, talking earlier about like the criteria for the tournament and everything, NIL qualifies as that. It's like something we all understand. It's like, yeah, of course, you just kind of buy your players here.
Oh, it's name, image, likeness, man. Right?
It's name, image, likeness. Just all you're doing is you. It's an open market. It's the free economy. Like we all know how that works. So it's the guy gets an offer from this school, but this school's offering a little more. Maybe he goes there. It's pretty simple. It's
for
a pretty
his name,
simple
for his image and for his likeness. I don't know what's hard about this.
Simple concept, and then you just like ask one more follow up question. So you're like, how do they? So is it like a contract they sign? You're like, Yeah, it's just kind of like
Yeah.
name, image, likeness. It's
Yeah.
NIL.
And they'll be doing
It's
trades,
it's
right?
just
They'll
a
be like doing
trade.
stuff for it, and like like advertisements and things like that. Not always, not all the time. No, no. They'll just be going to school there.
No one fully understands.
They get a scholarship, right? That's right.
Yeah,
on top of that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So what are these collectives that the schools are endorsing, but they're not
Yeah.
officially a part of,
Just,
but they
rich
are,
guys, right? Yeah, rich guys.
but they
yeah.
are doing fundraisers for. And what
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
How come when I go to a dinner, the head coach of my school is at the collective dinner asking for money, but then I'm told that the collective has nothing to do with the school. But what is good?
And the players still get stipends for food, right? Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And they don't have to use it all, and they can still pocket the money. That's right. Seems like a really good deal.
Interesting.
I want some NIL. This rocks.
Yeah, it would be hilarious if that's how everyone's job in corporate America worked. Was
Oh, it'd be awesome.
these
Competing for guys.
over the table deals that actually like aren't over the table at all. They're still like
Yeah.
like that's the thing about NILs. Everyone thinks that it's like now above board and there's no backroom dealings anymore.
Absolutely
It's like
not.
I think there might be more backroom dealings
Absolutely,
now.
yeah.
It's like
Hasn't
even
changed a
more.
thing.
It hasn't really changed at all.
No.
It's just not as
Stop punishing guys as much for it, I guess.
yeah, that's
right?
really all that's changed.
the
But
zoo.
it's still like it's not like the deals that are getting done are one, transparent as to what they actually are, and two, like within any sort of framework whatsoever of a rule book, because there kind of is no rule book.
Right.
It's crazy.
I guess I'm fine with it. I guess if you can get the money, sure. Just it sucks for all the guys that went to college already and like didn't get paid, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, are you kidding me? I could have made this
Yeah.
much money in college."
It cracks
Don't
me
feel
up.
too bad
It cracks
about
me up thinking about like Cam Newton.
Right,
when
those
he-
football guys would be.
when he was, what was the number he was like? He was getting floated around. The Auburn paid him like 180 grand or something. And I
Yeah.
remember at the time being like, or everybody at the
Yeah.
time was like, "Holy shit, that's crazy! 180
Uh-huh.
grand, throw him in prison, throw him in prison." And
Dude,
now,
Moses Wood's making more than that in
Yeah,
Washington
I know,
right now.
now you got dudes. You're like Ohio State paid $5 million for a quarterback or something. Like these reports are just
Unreal.
it's unreal. What will it take for you to get back in on Michigan State, or are we
Yeah.
done? Do you think Michigan State
I
can win us back? Is it basically just like beating Purdue somehow? Is it?
Yeah, I think they're good, right? Are they like on the cusp of the tournament right now?
Yeah, that's
Not-
what I
not
have no
like
idea. Like I kind
10
of
seed, 9 seed.
I kind of did with Michigan State what I did with Alabama football, which is this bodes well for Michigan State this year.
Yes.
This year, Alabama lost at home to Texas, and I was like, cool, I'm going to take you. I'm going to
Yep.
put you over here, and I'm
Right.
not going to worry about you the rest of the season. And then,
Michigan
I
State.
turned around and I looked. I was like, oh, Bama's still right there. I kind of did that with Michigan State earlier.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, all right. We'll put you there. Won't watch you. And then I check in, and they've won like 8 of 10, I think, now.
Yeah, they're figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Without Jeremy Fears has been out the entire time. I guess it didn't matter that much, but yeah, Izzo's a good coach. The continuity was going to be good eventually. The shooting was going to come around eventually. They lost Hauser, and everyone kind of pointed to that when they were shooting 30% from
Yeah.
three. And it's like, well, I mean, these guys don't shoot 30% from three. Like Tyson Walker, Akins, these guys are better shooters than
Yeah,
that.
it's not like
Eventually it
losing
happened, right?
Hauser made all those guys terrible
Right,
at
right.
shooting.
So they're a good team.
They're-
They're not great. They're not top 5 like they were preseason. That was,
Yeah.
that was a bridge too far.
Yeah. Izzo, I don't like the chatter of Izzo
You know, like,
toying with the idea of
you
of
don't like him
retiring.
mouthing off about how the game's changed and
And
NIL's
do love
horrible.
that. I do love that. I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think curmudgeons are what make the sport go round, and I think we need
Curmudgeons.
to. Yeah, we need them. We need.
Agreed. It feels hollow without Boeheim. Someone needs
Yeah.
to step in there and
I'm
be Boeheim.
I'm not saying I agree with everything that these guys say, but I do think every so often we do need old grumpy coaches that are just like, this system sucks.
Yeah.
And the system in the old days was better.
Yeah. Oh man, come on, man. I used to do this in private. Now I have to do it in public and compete with other guys that can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, this sucks for me.
And Tom Izzo's become that guy. I don't like the idea that's getting floated around though. I think it was Norlander wrote an article about Tom Izzo retiring, and
Bennett might too.
Yeah, Bennett. I'm hearing the same
Yeah.
thing, dude.
Just become like kind of over it the whole thing.
I hate that.
Yeah. Jay Wright, I guess that's kind of the reason he did too. I don't know. These guys are millionaires, so I get it. Like
I
they're
know, but
sail off in the sunset, but it can't be that.
God, what
Is it
about
that
me?
bad?
What about me? I need these guys in my life.
know.
I can't.
It's true. They don't think about the Tituses of the world, the little guys.
Who else would be on retirement watch that we have to worry about? Self's not going anywhere.
You know, Iowa fans want to fire McCaffrey. There's a
Oh,
There's a
really?
contingent that wants him gone. He's the all-time winningest coach there. He's taking him to the tournament every single year. He's losing for the Sweet 16, but he's produced multiple NBA guys.
Yeah.
Multiple players of the year.
I know. Well,
What do you want?
Iowa football and Iowa basketball are in the same boat of like good
opposites, right? Like the offense,
yeah, that's true.
thing.
Offense and
That's
defense.
fun.
Yeah, but Ferentz and McCaffrey are both good enough to make you wish they were better. I think. Like, they're good enough to get all the Iowa fans invested in the program, but then there's an obvious ceiling, and then that frustrates the hell out of them, I think. But yeah, McCaffrey, I mean, I like making fun of him losing his mind as much as the next guy and choking in the tournament and whatever else. But like,
what was the game recently where he was man, he got a technical, they didn't call it. Iowa came back and won. This is great radio, but I can't remember what it was. Anyways, it was McCaffrey being McCaffrey, and it's like, yeah, we need him to stay in the sport.
Yeah,
like
of course, of course, and there's just something about a Fran McCaffrey meltdown that you set your watch to. You're just like, there it is.
Yeah.
That's we were waiting. The one with him staring down the ref.
That was it. That's what I'm talking
Was
about.
so good. That was last year, right?
Was it last year? I thought it was this year.
Did he do it
I could be
again?
wrong. Yeah, he's like staring at him for a good 3-4 minutes. Yeah, and then they won. It worked. Super intimidating. I mean, he really showed that ref. Actually, the ref was a bit of a puss. He backed down right away.
Yeah, hold on. I want to watch this video. Ref stares down Iowa coach. Full video. We have the whole breakdown. It was against Michigan State. Yeah, it was last year.
It was last year. Okay.
With a minute and a half, and he just stands there with his hands on his hips, just staring at the ref.
And the ref feels horrible right now.
What an incredible.
He's trying to play it off.
Tony Perkins is like, come on, coach, just get back in the huddle.
You tee him up here,
And then the
right?
ref steps to him.
Tee him up.
What a just absurd.
And then they won, right? They won this game. They're down 10, or they might have covered.
Oh,
they covered.
They came back. Yeah, I don't think they won. I think they came back.
As a ref, you don't throw the tee. You don't give him the 2 fingers. On
yeah,
that?
I think you have to tee him up. I think you have to tee him up. The guy stares you down and steps to you like that. I'm trying to find
He's calling out your manhood. He's challenging you to a duel.
I'm trying to find the. Oh shit! No, you're right. They did. They won. They came back
10,
and won. That's right. That was the
left.
game. Yeah, they came back and won. They sent it to overtime. Good memory.
Thanks.
That was incredible. So coaches that are old that might or not even be old. Just like who are we keep on the radar. I don't want to be surprised anymore. I don't want any more Jay Wright surprises.
Calipari loves this environment, so I don't think he'd be gone.
I don't think he's done either.
Yeah.
Although
Cronin,
if Cal loses like in the first round, if Kentucky's like a 2 or 3 seed and they lose in the first round, they're not going to fire him. But a scenario that does feel plausible to me is that the noise gets so loud that Cal is just not that he runs from it, but he's just like, this is too much.
Go
for
to
me.
Louisville.
Yeah, he goes to Louisville, or he tries to. I don't know what he does. He
sells used cars.
Yeah, he'd go to the NBA. He'd get out of Lexington so fast.
He could. Yeah,
he would not. Cal's not gonna like retire in Lexington, Kentucky, is he?
Oh no.
There's
I've
no
never
way.
been there. I can't speak to the.
No, I'm not.
The beauty of it.
It's
but,
nothing bad about Lexington. It's about like John Calipari is there solely to coach that basketball team, and he's not trying to plant his roots there.
No, a lifetime contract, right?
That's right.
I don't think Self's in danger of leaving. I'm trying to think of the big guys that are kind of old. He's sneaky old.
Self is sneaky
he's
old.
Sneaky old.
But I think Self is reinvigorated by beating the NCAA. I think that it's like
I mean, Kansas, they're the slipperiest program.
That's
I'm
right.
biased,
That's
but
right. Yeah, you are a
they
Mizzou guy.
They just get away with everything, which
I'm
okay with.
I can't figure out this Kansas team at all. I mean, or maybe I have. Maybe I have figured them out. They have very, very talented individual players.
If the game was 4-on-4, they'd be the best.
Yeah,
team
but
in the
they don't
country.
have very many of those.
4 guys. Johnny Furphy's coming on though, the freshman.
He has, yeah. He's
starting
better
now, the stretch forward. But KJ Adams is so good. McCullough's so good.
It's just
Harris.
weird. It's weird to think that Kansas has 2 guys who could be first-team All-Americans with McCullough and Dickinson.
Yeah.
The Kansas Jayhawks have 2 potential first-team All-Americans on their team, and I think they have no shot whatsoever of winning the national championship.
Yeah, and they're like outside top 15 on KenPom. They're 3-2 in the Big 12. It's just not like – I think it's because he missed on a couple guys, right? Elmarco Jackson's just not that good. Nick Timberlake's not
good.
very good.
The Morris kid from Texas that they had to kick off the team.
That's right. He
Yeah.
off the team. Yeah, you're right.
But I mean, like he
that
was
a big
he was a
deal.
guy. He's a talented guy that they brought in that they were hoping was not.
They knew about this stuff.
They
too.
kind of did.
It was like, yeah, we're
They're
Kansas.
hoping it's not that big of a deal off court, and then it was like, okay, this is a big deal. We got a
lot of that going on this year. Guys off the court stuff.
I know. That's my least favorite part about this job is I'm not good at talking about it. It's
so easy not to do that stuff. I don't know.
a very difficult position for me to like see Terrence Shannon back in the lineup and be like, all right, listen, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
It's very true.
I have no idea.
Speculation.
It's a lot of speculation. They're better with him, obviously. And then I don't know.
The weirdest one's Doug McDaniel right now.
Oh yeah, Doug McDaniel.
But he put it out there himself on social media, and was like, "Don't ask me about it. Like, don't ask me about it. I'm out for the next 6 road games." What?
Well, now we're gonna ask you, Doug.
Wait, I want to know about this.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand effect here.
Do you think Michigan? Do you think this is it for Juwan Howard?
Yes,
It has to be, right?
Does he even want to be there? The Martelli thing at Penn State, they played in Philadelphia, and he let Martelli be the coach as an honorary thing. It's still a super weird move.
Very weird.
To say you're head coach this game. It's bizarre. And he came back on the bench as an assistant for a while. He didn't want to be there. I
feel like Juwan and Kenny Payne are in the same boat where
Kenny Payne. Yeah.
I mean, they're going to fire Kenny Payne now, but like the reason they didn't fire Kenny Payne immediately, which they should have done after like 5 games last year, they should have fired him like 5 games.
Bellarmine and everybody else in their schedule.
But it's a complicated thing when you hire a guy who's, I mean, Juwan Howard's a bigger deal to Michigan basketball than Kenny Payne is to Louisville, but
and he was good at first.
Yeah, and he was good at first. He had that working for him. But the idea of like, you know, the Fab Five was just back, and they're all together, and like if you fire Juwan Howard, do you lose out on like that whole
the collective
tether
NIL
you have
collective?
to the the NIL collective,
collective.
You know, and so that's what I always like. Of course, Juwan Howard should be fired, but like it becomes a little dicier because I don't know if they're going to do that. But I think they're hoping that Juwan, just like you said, is just kind of over it and just like.
It seems like he's like, you know what? I don't actually like being a head coach that much.
Yeah,
this is not really.
This is stupid. I would like to go back to the NBA.
Yeah, be an assistant in the NBA or just chill, man. You know, if I had millions of dollars, I would just do nothing. I don't know.
That's I know. That's the bitch of it. That's those of us who would think that way though would never be good at coaching. That's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. And that's what I was saying the same thing when like Sean McVay was toying with the idea of retiring. And then remember that like when Sean McVay was like,
yeah, and he's like 36.
I'm 36. I've won a Super Bowl. I got a smoking
else
hot
is there?
wife. I got millions and millions of dollars.
I live in LA.
Why don't I just retire and then he's back to coaching football? Because as it turns out, what Sean McVay loves more than anything in the world is coaching football.
True.
What I would love more than anything in the world is banging my hot wife in my mansion in L.A. That's what I would love. I would not love coaching football, but
getting up at noon, I don't know, playing video games. That sounds really cool.
But that's why I'm not a football coach. What about like Larinaga and Learn Hamilton?
Yeah. Right. Hamilton's like 100. You don't realize that.
Know.
Like, people forget about that.
And they both kind of suck this year.
They do. Yeah. Florida State they've actually played better recently, but they're still not.
Yeah.
Not very good. Larinaga, he's like the nicest guy ever. He's like one of the coolest coaches in the country, but I think he's a bit. Last couple regular seasons haven't been great. He saved himself for the tournament.
Yeah, last year going to the Final Four kind of saves everything.
Yeah,
but
what a run.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the tournament this year though. And
yeah,
USC's
it's crazy. USC's not either.
I've never been a fan of his.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last time you were on the show. That Andy. Yeah. What'd you call Andy Enfield? Like the it was so good. It was or was it Matt, the Ed Cooley of the West Coast?
Yeah, he's basically that's basically what he is, right? Yeah, yeah. He finishes about the same every year.
Yeah,
20 wins. Not this year though. Yeah,
and just keeps getting contract extensions. I don't know how he does it.
There's a weird like contingent of Pac-12 coaches like Mike Hopkins and Jared Haas that keep getting rehired and keep going, and it's like, you sure? Bobby Hurley, you sure you want to keep these guys around? And they do.
I don't know how they pull that off. USC is. I know Collier's out and Boogie Ellis has been banged up.
Yeah, it matters.
Whatever, but
they weren't good with him.
They weren't that like they were disappointing to begin with. Now they're just bad. Yeah. Now they've gone. What do you make of bronny coverage in general?
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. He's, I think everyone realizes he's not that great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good relatively to a normal person at basketball, but he's not a star.
He's not a lottery pick. But he's also not like, yeah, it sucks because
Solid
he's like
role player.
He's like not a bad player.
He's a great
He's
defender.
he's not a great player. And then
he's 6'3",
yeah,
and he's not an awesome shooter, and he's not like an awesome ball handler, not an awesome anything.
He's not awesome at anything except
he can jump. He can jump really high.
He can jump very high.
That's impressive.
He's a great athlete.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth because it's like, yes, of course, we're talking about a guy who's not even one of the top 500 basketball players in the country right now.
Did Michael Jordan's kids get covered like this? Like,
I don't think so, but they also weren't as good.
They weren't as good. One played at UCF, I remember. Then he transferred.
One played at Illinois for a half second.
Was it the same guy?
It might have been Marcus. Was it Marcus that played at?
There was two. One guy wasn't. One guy didn't play at all, and then one guy was better.
Yeah,
Marcus and
I checked. I think the game I played. I gotta look this up.
Did you play against him?
I think I might have played against him.
Was Michael there?
I think we checked in at the same time. Like I was checking in next to Mike.
He was waving at his son. You waved back at him. Hey, Mike.
No, Michael wasn't there. Marcus Jordan. No, Jeffrey is who I'm thinking of. Jeffrey Jordan was.
That's Michael's middle name.
Yeah, he went to Illinois from 07 to 10, and then UCF from 10 to 12.
And they were like 6'1", 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'1", 180.
Yeah.
Well, now I have to.
That sucks.
Now I have to look up whether. No, I wouldn't even know how to look that up.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel. I don't feel bad for Bronny because you're Bronny James, but it is a bit unfair to be.
Yeah.
Subjected to that every single time.
It sucks. And then the cardiac arrest thing like added to it. Where
that's tough too.
Like I do sort of think that that's worth. Not, we don't have to talk about it every single time he's on the floor, but there is that part where it's like, if this wasn't LeBron James' son, this was just a normal ass dude, and he had cardiac arrest in preseason practice, and now he's back playing on the road in Tucson, bringing the ball up the floor. Like that's
probably talking about
a pretty big story that we should be talking
right.
about. That's like pretty fucking crazy that a McDonald's All-American had that happen. Now he's, in this position. But at the same time, I'm also like everybody else where I'm like, all right, that's enough. We don't need to log on to ESPN.com and see that be the
it's just
Bronny impresses with 5 points and 4 rebounds. Or
Do people really want that news?
No,
I feel like the ESPN gods of the world decide what people are going to be interested in.
Yeah.
And then it's all they talk about. I don't know how that works really. I'm not a media mogul, clearly.
Yeah, people click on it, and then that
you won't believe what they said about Bronny James.
Yeah, but people click on it, but I do click on the not click on. When I'm checking out of a grocery store and I see a magazine that's like, these celebrities are actually aliens.
Yeah,
I open that. I click on that. I do that.
No way.
I open that up and I flip through. I'm like, really? And then I'm like, yeah, never mind. That doesn't mean this is what I want. That doesn't mean that this is good content.
Right.
That just means that I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the answer.
That's the game.
Most people are idiots.
Just be an absolute idiot. What else? Another Mike Woodson was a guy I wanted to talk about. He's an old guy that I put down on my list.
He's just you know what? He might be calmest coach on the sidelines.
He is the calmest coach.
He's
on the
always
sideline.
just blank stare. The whole time.
He's just
no emotion.
Yeah.
He tricked Kenny Payne.
That's right. He did trick Kenny Payne.
He tricked me.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said that.
He tricked me.
That's the wildest thing a coach has said in a press conference.
He tricked me.
The other coach tricked me. What on earth?
Louisville. So Louisville is going to open up, we assume. Michigan will open up.
They say Mick Cronin might get Louisville.
Mick Cronin to Louisville. That's what I'm.
That'd be an awesome hire.
I'm calling my shot, and I don't know how realistic it is. I love coaching carousels.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get someone really good.
Mick Cronin to Louisville, and then Muss is going to UCLA.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I think Muss.
I think he would do very well there.
I think Muss is a West Coast guy. And
yeah,
he's the honeymoon might be over in Fayette.
That's the perfect marriage, I think.
Yeah,
he's gonna get any player in the country.
Yeah.
At UCLA, they're gonna be awesome.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it makes sense for both parties.
It does.
And apologies to Arkansas fans. I love what Muss has done at Arkansas. I hope he doesn't leave, but unfortunately, I'm really, really good at predicting coaches to.
Are you?
programs.
What's your record?
I got Vegas to take Brad Stevens' IU off the board. People forget that
Wow.
happened.
Yeah.
You could bet on Brad Stevens. Will he take the Indiana job? And then
And people were hammering it after you said something?
yeah, and then I talked about it, and I was like,
That's ridiculous.
it could happen. And then Vegas,
Like, oh no.
Vegas took it off the board. That's a fact.
You pulled that Reddit guy that did the Will Levis thing.
Oh
in
yeah,
the draft.
yeah.
It's like, I know a guy. He's sure that Brad Stevens is taking the Indiana job. That's wild.
Purdue we haven't talked about really. Zach Edey,
He's huge.
he's a big boy. Zach Edey's going to win another National Player of the Year.
He should. I hope he does.
I hope he does too.
I have money on it, but he should.
Yeah,
He should.
he deserves. Nobody else deserves it.
Yeah.
He is actually a very good player, and I don't. My dad hates him, and my dad will just.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. My dad went to IU, so he's just
Okay,
like
he hates everything Purdue.
he's got a lot of propaganda coming
Fair
out of him from him. That's just like he's tall and he throws his. But the one thing I'll agree with my dad on is I am just kind of sick of the Zach Edey experience. Which is nothing against Zach Edey, nothing against Purdue. It's just like
Is he too automatic? Is that what it is?
it's just too automatic. Like I've seen this before.
Left shoulder,
yeah, left
right-
shoulder,
right
yeah,
hook. He's got so much touch.
Goes to the free throw. He makes his free throws like
He's a
he's
good free throw shooter.
It's just Purdue. Like where does Zach Edey? He's gonna win another National Player of the Year. It's the first time that's happened in God knows how long.
Yeah.
But it also, maybe you'll disagree with this. It also does feel a little weird to call him like an all-time college basketball legend.
Edey?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's had two awesome years, right? Because he was playing behind, who was he behind? A really good player. Swanigan?
Travion Williams.
It was Travion Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Splitting time with him.
yeah, he was splitting
Who
time
was an
with him
All-American,
versus-
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is an all-time player. I think Purdue's really good. Isn't Braden Smith an Indiana guy?
Yeah, Mr. Basketball, Westfield, yeah.
Was he Mr. Basketball?
Yeah, he was Mr. Basketball in Indiana, Braden Smith. And Caleb First was, too. They both were Mr. Basketball.
Oh, First was?
Yeah.
I talked to Painter at the Oscar Robertson Awards in Missouri. St. Louis, for some reason, holds it every year. And I was like, how'd you get Braden Smith? He's like, no one wanted him. Like, he was just, like, under-recruited.
Indiana didn't offer him. Yeah.
Unreal. Like a 3-star.
Yeah, Painter has basically taken Bob Knight's entire approach to basketball, and that's
Smart,
that's
really
the funniest. Other than just like he's not choking players and throwing chairs and shit, but
More coaches should do that. I think that's a good strategy.
yeah, instead of stepping on the court, just start throwing chairs around.
Maybe a little vintage.
Yeah, Purdue is obviously coming off of what happened last year in the tournament and what's happened for the last few tournaments. Do we believe in them in this NCAA tournament?
I personally do.
Do you think Purdue has done enough from what we've seen the last couple years in the tournament, now going into this tournament? Because, like, this is something you and I have to be prepared for is, like,
Yeah.
we pick Purdue to the Final Four, and everybody's going to just be like,
yeah.
you fucking idiot. Like, how are you explaining to people that this
Yeah.
Purdue team does have what it takes to not lose to a 16 seed?
Plus, there's that thing, like the Matt Painter bingo, when he's lost to every single seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
I think he's, like, completed it. I think it's because, first of all, I don't assign much small sample size. I don't assign much things to the NCAA tournament, like losing or winning there.
Yeah.
I know there's something to it, but I'm like, come on, small sample size. Like Jay Wright couldn't win until he won.
Right.
Tony Bennett couldn't win until he won.
Right.
That type of thing. But this team's different, I think, because of the sophomore guards are really good now, right?
Yeah.
Braden Smith, Foster Lawyer are older. Lance Jones is a guy. He's an older guard that's come in and he's taken Morton's minutes, which is really important.
Yeah.
No offense to Morton and the Galloways and the Cunninghams of the world, but those guys probably play too much.
Yeah.
Because they're hustle dudes and coaches love that. But I believe in them because the guards are better. They're older. Yeah.
Brock Cunningham. I can't believe he's still at Texas.
He actually seems like a pretty cool dude.
He does,
Jay
yeah.
Billis had him at the 40-40. I'm like, oh, I actually kind of like this
For
guy.
what it's worth, Trey Galloway's the same way, and so is.
And he's had some good games, Galloway.
Yeah, Galloway's
surprisingly.
had some good games. And Ethan Morton, I think, is probably a great locker room guy.
Absolutely.
It's just like I don't need Ethan Morton to play 25 minutes a night.
No,
that's not what
handle the ball.
That's not what I need at all. That's not what I need. He has such a knack for playing like 25 minutes and going 0 for 1 with 1 assist.
3 hard fouls.
3 hard fouls. Yeah,
some
25
floor
minutes.
burns. Yeah, that's Ethan Morton.
Yeah, he tried to take a couple charges and he was late on both of them, and they called him blocks. But
he's looking at this show. What the hell?
But good hustle. While we're in the Big Ten, this Wisconsin team is one that I'm slowly talking myself into.
They're good, man.
As being very, very good.
Yeah, AJ Storr is
he's legit.
a game changer.
Yeah,
their offense rocks. It's like top 10 right now in the country.
Yeah,
their defense is always good. Are they running much swing still? I haven't watched. I know they're playing kind of faster, but I think swing's still a part of it. Which is the most
swing
boring
elements.
offense to play
Swing
in.
elements.
Swing
we'll
elements.
call it swing elements.
Flex screens.
Yeah. There's still skoches of the swing out there.
And then Storr, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, they got the I've said this before, but they got like the they still feel like a Wisconsin team, which is to say that they are unselfish and you know, crisp passing and fundamental and all that shit. But
Thumbs
now
down.
they have they really pop it. Norman Dale loves how well they can chest pass, but they Storr just adds a whole dynamic to them.
He does,
like that they have athleticism now and length and like they have both though. But so it's not like they still have the identity and the culture of what Wisconsin basketball is, but now they have the horses to like actually take them to heights that
they bring their lunch pail to work still every day, but they also have pizzazz.
I love Brad Davison, but now they're not in a position where they're looking at Brad Davison and they're like, Brad, please carry us to a Final Four. And Brad's like, what?
You know, he's a lot bigger in person, Brad Davison.
Yeah, he's like 6'4", right?
Yeah.
Dude's
a tank.
Yeah.
He looks like a little guy out there.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Why does he look like he's 6 foot tall?
I was a little intimidated. I was like, this guy is just like, he could body me.
I think it's Aaron Kraft's fault. I think we all got Aaron Kraft in our brain and we push his Kraft is like 6'1", 6'2".
Is he that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's only that. Okay.
He's not a short guy, but he's just he's shorter than Brad Davison. Because the other thing with Brad, I watched him his entire career. I watched him score a ton of points. I watched him get hot. He made Roy Williams retire. People forget that Brad Davison.
Right. It's like F this.
Yeah, dropped what was it, close to 30? Maybe it was 30 on Roy, and then Roy was like, I can't coach college basketball anymore. Brad Davison's dropping there. And yet I still would be surprised every time he would hit like jump shots because because Aaron Kraft couldn't shoot, and I was like, these are the same guy, but Brad could play offense. So those are the two things. He's so much taller and he's so much better at offense than he got credit for because we only know him as the flopper who was taking charges.
He's like an
crazy.
All-time Wisconsin guy. Like, I think leader in like games played or minutes or starts or bunch of stuff like that.
The Blackwell kid they got, the freshman, he's another
Chucky
like,
Hepburn's playing better and Wall's still good.
Yeah.
Klesmit's like team. Klesmit,
just out of nowhere,
that's how you hit on a transfer. You get those type of guys that come in, and it's hard to hit on transfers though, I will say. Or maybe it's not. I should be a scout. Would you be good at scouting? Transfer market?
I would be good at only reminding people of my wins.
Well, that's only what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Like any good tout out there, just talk about the wins.
Well, it's funny because, Tennessee's a great example because they get Dalton Knecht, but then they also bring in Jordan Gainey, who, those are the two guys they bring in to save the offense. And Gainey, I don't want to put all the blame on him, but, Gainey has not been that guy. I mean, Gainey...
He's an upstate guy, yeah.
He's not really making that much of a difference for them. So it's funny because you look at Tennessee and you'd be like, damn, dude, they just knocked it out of the park with the transfer, getting Dalton Knecht. I mean, that's a huge get. But then, if you're a hater, you'd be like, well, I mean, they also thought Jordan Gainey would be averaging 15 a game for him. He's not doing shit.
Yeah.
So.
And they brought in guys in the past. I think, was it like Victor Bailey, who just sat on the bench?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, man, I thought that guy
so
was
as it turns out, it kind of is a crapshoot. Because even Dalton Knecht he was awesome at Northern Colorado, so of course he's going to be awesome at Tennessee. That is not how it works. Guys stepping up.
I doubted him. I thought it wasn't going to be that great because I didn't think he could play defense. I didn't know how athletic he was, but it's worked out. Because I was a big Christian Keeling guy.
Yeah,
remember him? He was at Charleston Southern, transferred to North Carolina.
Yep,
horrible.
Yeah,
just horrible.
Well, that's it's not a In fact, I would say more often than not, the guys who are averaging like 17 to 22 points at a smaller school going up to the big school, those aren't the guys that are going to they
adjust to a new role.
It's
right?
so hard. But then you get a guy like Tyson Walker though, like Northeastern, and now he's in Michigan State and he's the man. So it's like, how do you
connects the man?
So to answer your question, no, I would not be good at it. I would be good at it after the fact. I would be good at it.
Hindsight is so easy.
Yeah. After Dalton
People should do
connects
hindsight stuff way more often. It's easy.
I'm not good at doing things on my own. I'm good at pointing out how other people fucked up.
Yeah, other people's flaws.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that. Really, really good at that.
I could never make music myself, but I'll listen to your song and tell you why it's bad.
Yeah.
I can definitely do that. What else? Who else do we got to talk about? We've hit a lot. UConn, obviously number 1 team in the country.
Do you think so? The AP poll is kind of a joke. Is that a hot take?
Let me go with the AP poll.
AP poll guy.
AP poll.
I just don't like the instant takes, the what have you done for me lately type of
I don't either.
thinking. Every week it's like, this team's going down. They lost 1 game last week.
Right now, as it stands today, who do I think the best team?
Yeah.
Okay. I probably don't think it's UConn. UConn's in my top 5. I would probably put Purdue. I would say Purdue. And maybe it's baked in bias, but I just I think it's more Zach Edey's inevitable, and I know they've lost twice, and I know Nebraska blew them out, but
Northwestern beat it. Northwestern's kind of their kryptonite, though.
Northwestern also kind of cheated, if we're being completely honest. I don't.
You have to cheat.
I mean,
it's the only way you can beat Edey.
Boo Booey's like his foul baiting bullshit.
Yeah,
yeah, that shit that he was pulling. I don't know. I don't necessarily think Purdue's going to win the national championship, but they'll
be a 1 seed though.
Their non-conference run was just so dominant.
Yeah,
they were so
2 years
good.
in a row, right?
Yeah,
like
2 years in a row. But UConn
insane.
had the same sort of thing. They're like
I think UConn's amazing is the answer, but I don't think they're quite as good as last year just because of Jordan Hawkins and Andre Jackson were the guys. But Tristan Newton's really, really good. Cam Spencer's way better than I thought he would be. Talking about transfers, Loyola Maryland to Rutgers.
Yeah, right.
I had no idea he'd be that good. Right. Yeah.
I think UConn is slightly they're not as good as they were last year, but last year's team was the best team in the country and won the national championship. So
and they have the best collective of assistant coaches in the country.
Right.
Luke Murray. Right.
Yeah. I'm really high on Carolina too. I think Carolina started playing defense and they're locking people. I just love RJ Davis. Like I assumed RJ Davis was going to cool off at some point, and he hasn't yet. Like he's
spreading
so
his
efficient.
Wings.
He's so
out of Love's shadow.
Yeah,
like,
and
I could have done this all along.
Yeah,
man.
out of spread his
give me
wings
the
out of
ball.
Love's shadow. I think figuring out that I think the team has embraced that he's the guy too, and they're not looking at Armando Bacot and saying, "Please lead us to the promised land." And Armando Bacot's like, "What?"
Well, they also hit on Elliot Cadu.
Yeah,
who's like another transfer up who is working out. Right? And Harrison Ingram's all of a sudden really, really good after kind of underachieving at Stanford. He's gone from a 31% shooter to a 40% shooter.
Cormac Ryan's been good for him.
He's been great.
Yeah. I really do. I was on Carolina, not super early, but they lost to Nova, they lost to UConn, they lose to Kentucky, and it was the Kentucky game where I was like, I think I like this team. And I said it on the show, and Carolina fans were not telling me I was an idiot, but they're like, I don't know, man.
They're doubting themselves.
Well, they're just kind of like you said about Hubert, and last year obviously is not great, and the year before even it took a miracle run to
I know
to fix.
I wonder where we'd be if that never happened.
Yeah,
they lost first round.
And all that's valid. And also, if you're a Carolina fan, you're used to a good team to you is a legendary college basketball team.
Yeah, I wonder what that's like.
Yeah,
expectations.
That would be nice. Yeah. But I think they're good enough to win the national championship.
They are, absolutely are. Yeah, 2 All-Americans and a really good supporting cast. Yeah,
Houston. I think I don't know.
Best coach in the country for my money.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. Arizona is.
I just they're so explosive, and they actually play defense.
There's so many teams that can win this thing.
I know this year
it's wide open.
It's 10 to 12 teams I can see winning the title. Last year, maybe 4.
So I guess the question is, and we can end with this. The question is, are Is it wide open because there are a lot of good teams, or is it wide open because there are no good teams?
I think it's wide open because there's a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good teams.
Okay, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah,
because so many of these,
It's never been better.
So many of
basketball.
these top teams are getting upset that it's hard to.
Yeah, you're playing good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think the middle of the pack is as strong.
It is.
Like I think I said that on a show recently that the AP poll needs to expand to like 50 almost,
Yeah,
or, like,
right.
or like 40 or something, because
Yeah.
there's so many teams that are unranked that are really good.
Super good, yeah.
But then you see a team that's like in the top 5 lose to an unranked team. You're like, how could that possibly happen?
Right.
And it's because the days of it being a top-heavy sport are long gone.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that these teams are bad. Okay, we're in agreement then. Because my thought is like of the teams in the top 10, the only ones that I don't love are like Kansas, Auburn. I'm still waiting on. Illinois, if Terrence Shannon can go, like I like them.
They're
I
good
like
too, yeah.
Arizona. Auburn, like I said, wait and see. Kansas, I don't love as a national title good, but it's still Kansas, and they still have
Right, they Bill Self and 2 All-Americans.
have 2 All-Americans. Kentucky, I love. Tennessee, I love.
Yep,
Houston, I really like. Carolina, I love. Purdue, I love. UConn, I love. Yeah, so
Every team you named could win the title.
they're all good teams.
You'd be like, I get that. Yeah.
all right, we're
Yeah.
good. We're
Tournament's
good.
gonna be fun.
We're
We
in
say
a good spot.
say it most years, but it's gonna be really fun.
I don't think I've ever been to a Final Four in Phoenix. Have you?
I have
or
not.
Glendale.
I have heard it sucks.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be really spread out.
Yeah, I went to the Super Bowl last year, and
Yeah.
it was.
Were you at Houston last year too with the Final Four?
The Final Four. in
And that was
Houston
awful.
Was stupid. Yeah.
After New Orleans being like peak, everything
Yeah.
I would have hoped for, Houston was a huge letdown. But yeah, I think it's gonna be kind of similar to Houston. Yeah,
they
unfortunately.
need to do New Orleans and Indy,
Indianapolis and
Indy.
I heard
and
San Antonio
Vegas.
is really cool. I have
San
not been to one
Antonio is
yet.
cool. San
Yeah.
Antonio. The only, the Alamo Dome isn't awesome, but
Yeah.
the environment's awesome. Like in terms of like the city and the Riverwalk and all that, it's cool. But yeah, I
Just wait till Vegas.
Vegas will be.
It's gonna be incredible.
But it's nice having the Super Bowl. I've gotten folded in here at Barstool into like the Super Bowl mix now, so I'm excited.
That's awesome.
So we're going to the Super Bowl in a couple weeks in Vegas, but like just like I did last year when I was at the Super Bowl in Phoenix or Glendale or whatever. I'm just looking at it through a college. I'm just doing like scouting. I'm doing advanced scouting for the Final Four. That's what I'm doing in Vegas. Is I'm just gonna be like envisioning what the Final Four will be like while we're there. Because that's far more important to me than the Final Four. So, Kai, I appreciate you coming over, man.
I would do it anytime, man.
Walking
It was
in the cold to join us here.
A little less than a mile. Yeah, trudge through.
Yeah, we got to give you a tour of the place. What do we think? Initial thoughts of the Barstool HQ.
It's like the coolest building I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On the outside, it doesn't look like much. Then you get in here, and it's like, whoa. It's like somebody had like a dream of a fun house of what they want to do and their favorite things in life, and they just put it in a building.
We're starting to get a problem next to the court. We're just collecting. I mean, it looks like a closet at like a PE teacher's closet or something. We're just like collecting odds and I haven't helped the problem.
Some
I bought
cones, some jump rope.
just like random ass dodgeballs, a hockey stick that
lawn bowling
randomly popped up. I didn't help the problem. Within the first couple weeks of being here, I bought a unicycle and I just like threw it over there because in my head I thought it'd be.
Have you been on it?
I tried it a couple times and it did not go well, but I thought enough people would try it that it would be very funny.
Yeah.
And then I think
It seems pretty hard.
people figured out quickly that was a very bad idea to try to ride a unicycle if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway, Kai McKeon, 3-Man Weave. Go subscribe. We love the 3-Man Weave on this show. We love all three of you guys equally and appreciate you coming on the show. But I say that every time you or Jim or Matt come on that I try to give you the plug, whatever my word is worth. For my listeners and viewers,
everything.
Go support 3-Man Weave. I love what they do, and we appreciate you coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you again to Kai. Before we get out of here, a few things I want to touch on. Number one, we did not mention, Kai and I did not talk about the Blake Henson picture. Really the picture did say 1,000 words. Like the whole video is cool, but like that still shot of Blake Henson of Pitt. Pitt beats Duke in Cameron Indoor Stadium, and Blake Henson jumps on the scores table to taunt the Cameron Crazies as they're all flipping him off. What a great college basketball moment that was. So good. The only thing I hated about it was that Coach K wasn't on the bench to lecture Blake Henson after it happened. That would have been perfect too. If we would have got a story on top of that picture that was like Coach K walked into the pit locker room and told him that he's way too classy to act that way. But what a great moment. I saw everybody talking about how awesome it was, and I just thought I'd chime in to say the same. It was great. We need more of that. We need more taunting after big wins like that, because God knows what that student section was saying to him throughout the entire game. This is a student section, by the way, the Cameron Crazies, that still put together their little pieces of paper for all those games. Those little cheat sheets that are just like, his girlfriend's named Jennifer. Be sure to chant, "How's Jennifer doing?" when he's at the free throw line, just to get in his head. It's like that never works. It never works. You just look like you're corny as shit when you do that stuff. But I love the picture, really. Like I said, like the video is cool, whatever. But that's just like an all-time put it on your gravestone picture. Like if I was Blake Henson, that would be the picture. I would get that in I would get that made into like a chain, and I would just wear that everywhere. Just carry that around, like this picture on my chest at all times. UConn hung on to beat Villanova. Great game this weekend. The Huskies are rolling, and Kai didn't seem to be super high on them as being as good as last year, but I don't think you need to be. That's always the thing with college basketball. Is like you don't have to be as good as your team was last year to win the national championship. You have to be better than. You don't even have to be the best team in the country. You have to be better than the 6 teams you play on those 6 given nights in the NCAA tournament. That's I know it's very simple, and I know that's a no-duh thing to say, but just want to say it again because I sometimes forget that too, and especially this time of year when you just got done watching a lot of football, college football. That is obviously we're watching the NFL football right now, but you get football brain, and you think that like the only way you can really win a national championship is to be the best team in the country. But that's not true at all with basketball. Not true at all. All you have to do is be better than the team that night in front of you. And I think UConn obviously is, whether they're actually the best team in the country or not is irrelevant. They are very clearly good enough to win a national title, and big win over a Nova team that really felt like going in that they were going to pull off the upset. And kudos to them. They played well, but UConn is locked in right now. 2 things before I go, though, that I want to show. 3 things. I'm sorry. One more thing, and then we'll get to the women's basketball. Big Z at Kentucky. We did talk about him briefly. This kid is I freaking love this Kentucky team so much. They're so fun. And if this kid is as good as he showed in 16 minutes, Kentucky's national title good. I mean, they already are, but like that is. I just want to go on record. If Kentucky does, in fact, win the national championship and everyone pretends like this kind of came out of nowhere and what a shocker. If you watch or listen to the show, please do not be shocked. I have tried to I am worried about the defense a little bit. The intensity is lacking at times. That's going to happen with a young team. That's going to happen with a team who loves to be as up-tempo as they are, that has as good of an offense as they have. I'm not saying they're flawless. I'm not saying they're the number 1 best team in the country, but they are so freaking fun, and you're adding a 7-footer that shoots threes and blocks shots and throws behind the back passes and hangs on the rim and gets flagrant foul. Like he's just 16. That was the best 16-minute debut I maybe have ever seen in college basketball ever. Like that was incredible. He played 16 minutes off the bench and did everything, and had the place rocking. And he's their 6th best player, 7th best player. Just an embarrassment of riches for John Calipari. Really, it feels like a situation that he can't fuck up. Like he couldn't possibly fuck this up, right? There's no way. There's no way that John Calipari can fuck up having 4 guards this good and finally a versatile big man. And yeah, there's no way that couldn't happen. There's no way. They're gonna be just fine. 2 things before we go on the women's side. Number 1, Tara Vanderveer. Tied, right? Tied? She's not passed yet, Coach K.
Are you sure?
Or did she pass?
It was a large ceremony.
Did she pass or did she tie?
Passed.
She did pass. Yeah.
Buckeye.
She's a Buckeye, former Buckeye. I mean, I knew she was going to pass the mark at some point. Shout out to her. She was the coach of the women's team in the 80s, and then went to Stanford and the Ohio State women's team. I mean, and then went to Stanford and past Coach K, and I love. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, I hope this if Coach K comes back now to pass her again, that would be awesome. I would fully endorse that. Coach K takes the DePaul job. He is a Chicago guy. It makes you think. It makes you think that the DePaul job opened up at a Catholic school. A Catholic school job in Chicago opens up just mere days after Tara Vanderveer breaks the all-time record. Less than a day, right? It was yesterday. She did this yesterday. Huh. Interesting. Makes you wonder if Coach K is going to get back in the game and do a little stat padding. And then the other women's basketball thing I want to talk about, pertaining to Ohio State especially, is the Caitlin Clark situation. Caitlin Clark, first of all, the Buckeye women pull off the upset. Great win for the women's program. We have a fun women's program. We've had a few fun teams. Last year's team was a ton of fun, and this year, pretty good team as well. Beat Caitlin Clark. She scores 45 points. I'm very much a Caitlin Clark guy. I do think she's the biggest star in college basketball. I think she's awesome. She's very deserving of her reputation as being on a GOAT trajectory. All of that is fine and well. I'm not here to say that. I don't want to speak too ill of her, but she flopped, and I just want to go on record and say that she flopped. She flopped in the post game thing, and I don't think Ohio State should apologize for anything. So there you have it. That's pretty much it. I watched that video like 1,000 times, and the girl. It was one of those things that, like, I said, I'm not going to get triggered by this. I'm not going to get, like, worked up about this. This is so obviously stupid. And then the more I watched it, the more upset I got. Not at Caitlin Clark. I don't really think she flopped. She didn't really, like, milk it that much. She wasn't, like, that big of a victim in the post-game press conference. She could have been better. She could have been like, it was just a misunderstanding. We bumped into each other. Everything's fine. But whatever. I don't really care that much. I don't think she was doing it to be, like, to divert all the attention away from the loss and make it be on this thing or anything else. But also, everybody clutching their pearls and saying, like, this is why court storming shouldn't happen in college basketball was absolutely embarrassing to see, as it always is. All the anti-court storming rhetoric out there is disgusting. Everybody points to this was a classic example of the court storming debate where a video comes out that doesn't look awesome. The anti-court stormers go crazy saying, like, this is why we're against this. That's fucking crazy to have people just rush onto the floor. It's one of the most dangerous things that happens in sports. And you use it as evidence that it's a problem. Then there's another angle that comes out, or like the real story comes out, and as it turns out, it like really wasn't a thing at all. She very clearly should have seen the girl. They should have seen each other. They bumped into each other. This whole idea that, like, there wasn't enough security to usher Iowa's women's team off the court. Caitlin Clark was a rogue agent. She took off running when the rest of the team was, like, being ushered off the court. And then meanwhile, like, there is a cop running right next to her trying to tell her not to do that and, like, probably screaming, hey, Caitlin, look out. There's a girl right in front of you. So then, like, as we learn more and we see more angles, you realize that this isn't really a problem at all. But then the people that are so anti-court storming just – instead of going, oh, okay, we were wrong about that, they go, oh, yeah, but still, it could have been bad. So for that reason, we should ban court storming. And it's the same groups of people. It's always like people who are fans of teams that don't ever storm the court because they, one, are pretentious, or two, like have a gym layout that won't allow it just because the students are seated in a weird spot. And then just because of these oddities, they believe that they are superior to every program that does rush the court, and because other programs rush the court, we should make sure that we ban it across the entire sport and all sports, because how come they can have fun when we can't have fun? It's the dumbest shit that happens every single college basketball season. I hate it so much. Every single instance is overblown because people so bad. The thing that people that are anti-court storming want more than anything else in the world is somebody to actually get trampled. Because they want to be able to point to it and say I was right. They care more about being right than actually whether it's a danger to anybody. If you watch that tape, the court storm was over. It was all the people are hanging out in the middle of the arena. All Caitlin Clark has to do is just like walk around the baseline and everything's fine. It was handled perfectly. I don't. Ohio State apologized. They said, I think Gene Smith said something to Iowa's women's team. Is like, sorry, we put you in that position. There's talk about like, well, yeah, even if it wasn't malicious, security's got to do a better job getting the team off the floor and yada. Did this. They did it perfectly. The protocol was fine. Everything was fine. The only thing that wasn't fine was Caitlin Clark at one point decided, I'm just going to take off running across the floor, and she smokes this girl, pushes her, spins around, and then milked it a little bit. Whatever. I still like Caitlin Clark. I'll still watch her play and cheer for her. And I hope if Ohio State can't win a national championship in women's basketball, I probably will pull for Iowa, just like I did last year. This doesn't change any of that, but this world we're living in, where like every time someone storms the court, these people that are anti-court storming just like are breaking it down, crossing their fingers, hoping that there's some sort of incident they can point to and say, yes, thank God, now we can finally take the fun away from everybody else that's having the time of their life. It's insane, and I have no idea how this became the thing in college basketball. There are no incidents. There are never any incidents. It's always make believe. It's always like, one of these days, are we really gonna wait to see until the incident where the Ohio State student does rush on the floor and just punches Caitlin Clark right in the fucking face and ends her career right then and there? That seems to be what the argument always is. It's like, what if that did happen? And I don't know. I just don't deal in hypotheticals, TJ. So that's my stance on it.
As someone who's been personally positively affected by a court storming experience, it would devastate me if this were
Of
to
course.
somehow jeopardize that, because the joy in the court storming when you're in the storm is something that if you could bottle and sell it, it would be the hottest drug in the streets.
It's an all-time, literally a lifetime memory. Yeah. If you're in school and you storm the court, even if it's the number one team or it's like you just beat your rival, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be the biggest upset in college basketball history. It's just like, if you run onto the court, you will remember that the rest of your life.
It's my number one like sports fandom moment I've ever had.
Yeah. And these people want to take it away because there's a world where when you ran onto the court, what game was it?
Against Purdue.
It was the Purdue game?
Yeah.
There's a world where when you ran onto the court, you were kind of close to Jaden Ivey, and maybe you could have punched him in the face.
Right.
And taken a crowbar to his kneecap and ended his career. So, that's pretty crazy if you think about it.
I wouldn't have done that for the record.
Yeah.
I ran up to Ron Harper Jr. and gave him a firm chest pat and stuff.
Yeah. Nobody ever does that. There are guys that talk shit when they run on the court, I guess, and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like this idea that like fans are just gonna like jump the opposing team. I don't know, but it could happen, I guess. I get like, yeah, okay, you're right. It could theoretically happen someday, but like I don't understand why you entertain that as like a real possibility.
Right. That could just happen.
That could happen on the
during
street.
A game.
Yeah. If those people wanted to jump. If you and your buddies were watching that game, you're like, we should jump Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was on the team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should jump. We should. You know what we should do? We should storm the court and just beat the shit out of Jaden Ivey. You could just like hang out by the team bus after the game and then jump over the fence and beat the shit out of it, or try at least. I don't know how successful you would be, but yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So I thank God I'm not going to talk about it and address it, because if I did, I get pretty worked up about it. So credit to me for not getting triggered by it all. All right, that's the show. Thanks again to Kai McKeon. Go subscribe to 3-Man Weave. Go listen to their stuff. They're great with gambling stuff too. That's especially if you're someone who loves betting on college basketball and you've come to this show and you're like, Titus, I enjoy the show, but when are you going to start hitting your big picks of the weekend and all that kind of thing? Go to 3-Man Weave. They're great at it. I'm telling you, that's what you need to do. So go support Kai and the boys, and we will see you on Friday.